Good morning, class. This is Kim Sutton coming to you from her classroom in Arcata, California. Yesterday, I read the book Even Stephen and Odd Todd and posted that reading on my YouTube channel. And that was to help in case you don't have the book at home. This is a book to introduce the concepts of evens and odds. But after we've read it, we need to actually do some math with it. So I wanted to share with you some ideas on really different levels that you can do to practice evens and odds. The first one I'm going to share today is the idea of actually creating pictures of evens and odds. This particular data sheet is posted on my website in the freebies section, and it's called Picturing Odds and Evens, and this would be considered a level 1 exercise. Here's the fun thing about doing this. You don't really need the data sheet. You just need to think about evens and odds. And let's begin our lesson by describing what an even number actually is. You can see that I have some chips out in front of me. I have some Smarties out in front of me. Look in your cupboard. You can use goldfish crackers. You really don't need anything that looks like a typical math tool. Sometimes I do math at home using my wheat thin crackers. Goldfish crackers are great. Remember, you can use anything that you can count. So let's begin by looking at the lesson. It says on the data sheet that even numbers are quantities that will pair out with no leftovers. The word pair means a group of two. So if I'm looking at a quantity, I first have to make groups of two out of that quantity. So let's say that I take some chips, and I didn't even really count them. I just grabbed them. And if I count how many I have, I see that I have 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 chips. So I would write down 8 here. Now, I want to make groups of 2. Really simple. Here's one group of 2. Here's another group of 2. Here's another group of 2. And here is my last group of 2. So I see that I have 4 groups of 2. Do I have any leftovers? No. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take on my data sheet and transfer. So I have a picture that shows my 4 groups of 2. Because I don't have a leftover, I would circle even because even numbers will pair out without leftovers. Also, if you're watching this lesson and you want to do it with a little higher level student, one of my favorite things to do with the data sheet came from my own students. They said, Miss Sutton, why don't we write how many groups of 2? And then, because you always talk about the groups of statement in class, below it, you left enough room, we'll write 4 groups of 2 equals 8. Now, that's a simple way to take this conversation into something a little more mathematical. At some point in time, that groups of becomes the multiplication sign. I don't even need to talk about that right now, but I'm laying the groundwork. So let's look, instead of using chips, which you might not have at home, but sometimes we have them inside games, let's take some Smarties. Those are always fun to look at. So I'm back to looking at my data sheet, and I'm going to grab some Smarties. I didn't even count them. Now I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or I might look at this as 2 plus 3 more. I mean, that's where our number chats really come in handy. So I'm going to record that 5 right here. Now, if you are looking at using Smarties, I can actually use the Smarties on the data sheet to make my groups of 2. But doggone it, I don't have enough to make my third group of 2. So what I really have is 2 groups of 2, and I have a leftover. And because there is a leftover, then I'm going to circle odd, because that tells me that picture is an odd quantity. Now, if I want to take it to the idea that my students showed, this tells me I have 2 groups of 2, and I have 1 left over, making that an odd number. Easy breezy. Easy way to practice. Remember, if you don't have the data sheet, don't worry about it. Just grab something that you can count, make groups of 2, and then, I don't know, tell your dog whether it's odd or even. It's just a way to explore that. If you have some dice, maybe you want to roll the dice and use whatever you rolled to be the number you're looking at. Here's the fun thing. With or without the data sheet, you're getting practice with the concepts of evens and odds. Go to my website at www.creativemathematics.com, find the tab that says freebies, and you'll see this data sheet posted there for you to download or include in your students' work. Have a great day.